Go, Dr. Bill.
Okay, this is a picture of Abraham Lincoln. No, wait a minute. I got that wrong. Sorry. That's Vivek Murphy. He's the Surgeon General of the United States. He made quite a splash a few days ago when he came out and announced that he believes it is appropriate to put a label on alcohol products, that they have a cancer risk. And according to him, it's the third highest cancer risk. Number one is smoking cigarettes. Well, that, of course, has all gone away. No one smokes anymore. Number two is alcohol. Number two is being overweight. Americans don't have a weight problem. So if you're going to do something, you can do something about number three, which according to him, there's published indicators that this is the use of alcohol. He recommends most 1 drink per day for a woman and 2 for a man. He would prefer that you do none. It doesn't matter which alcohol you prefer. There's an interesting statistic in this presentation. He said there's 100,000 deaths from cancer, 20,000 deaths per year for smoking, and 13,000 deaths from traffic crashes. So that gives you a feeling of how they relate to each other. Now on to number two. Sorry, Abe, we have to move on. This is a diagram of sections of the human body in which a Chinese investigator has shown that there are micro and nanoplastics. So you might not recognize each one of these things. I would point at the ones that are most embarrassing, but the point of it is that they're all involved, and they link it to disease. As a statistic, in plastic usage, there was 1.5 million metric tons in the 50s. Now there's 390 million tons in 2021. So it's growing very rapidly, and you have to stop existing in the universe to get away from it, apparently. It's all over the body. All these are associated with diseases. And this is in support of what other people have found.
Can you tell us how the microplastic gets into our body?
Well, it's in our water, it's in our air, it's in the food. It's part of the manufacturing. It's in all the wrappers and everything. Okay, next is mortality timer inside of our cells. I call this the TikTok slide. This was work that was done at Cornell. They were studying this in yeast organisms. Yeast are different from bacteria in that they have a nucleolus.
They have
a nucleus. They're not just a cell with junk inside. They have a nucleus. And inside the cell nucleus is something called the nucleoli. And the researchers there in the yeast found that as you get older, the nucleolus starts to grow, and it apparently loses its capabilities. And they were able to figure out a way to sort of nail it to the side of the nucleus, in which case it remains small. When it remains small, it's functional. But as it grows and expands, it stops doing its job, and that leads to dissolution of the cell. So one of the reasons why they're excited about this is it's possible that this could be remedied since it seems to control competency of the nucleus. And if it's remedied, it might be a solution to several, not just one disease. So the nucleolus is the home of our DNA, which is the coding part that produces the RNA that's used in ribosomes, which is where proteins are made. So it's at the very bottom of the control center.
So the whole life using RNA then,
It's
and
called,
that's what's deteriorated.
yeah.
I see. That might be why our immune system isn't as strong when we're older.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see, thanks.
Okay, the next one, they showed this picture of this charming young lady, and it said, can we change our genes? Well, there is nothing wrong with her genes, but the point of it is she can't do it on a weekend when she has a little extra time. It's done quite a bit and in several different ways for older people who have diseases for which genetic loci have been located. And there are three main categories of gene change. They are, in order, gene therapy, genome editing, and epigenetics. If you're not satisfied that you understand each of these, it's a great article to read because it turns out each category has multiple components in it. And they're available, they've passed the research stage, they're in use. They ain't cheap, but they have the effect of upgrading or downgrading a cell's nucleus gene, which may be beneficial or harmful to your lifestyle. And it's ongoing. Okay, now the next one strikes us all to home. This is coffee grounds. Why is this in a healthcare presentation? Well, it turns out that leftover coffee grounds have a potential use. They found that it can increase the strength of concrete by 30%. Now, the point is that if you don't put it in the concrete, you're going to throw it in the ground, and it's going to contribute to production of greenhouse gases, and that increases the rapidity of global warming. And the upgrade of the use of the coffee grounds has gone from 1 billion pounds, no, 10 billion kilograms to 22 billion kilograms. And it's all just waste right now. So it would be better to put it to use.
Are they using them much in concrete if it increases the strength?
This is just brand new. This is
Experimental still.
So we should just use it in the mortar for our top point.
okay. Now, the next one sounds like one of the earlier ones, but it's actually a little different. It's called, Can We Stop Brain Aging? I'm up for it. I'm not asking you to raise your hand on this, but I kind of know where we're all at with this. So this was work that was done a research group found that neural activity is supported by the healthy action of the mitochondria. And this is a picture of the mitochondria. They produce energy, which allows other processes to proceed. And they were, oh yeah, this is one I really like. This work was done by Wen Lai. He's a Chinese fellow. In the credits, there were about 30 people. Most of them were Chinese names. He is the director and the first author. When lie? Well, you can lie anytime you want, but you're probably not going to get away with it unless you're running for president. Win-win lie. So they are doing this work, and they were working in the hippocampus of the mouse. Hippocampus is not a college designation, it's a portion of the brain. And if you want more information about that, there's the man who will help you with that. Craig. Okay, he's a little bit out of it.
Functions, the hippocampus.
And positioning and so forth. So they did this work in his laboratory, which they didn't name the laboratory. And what they found was that the neural activity, which you need to keep your brain processes running, is supported by the mitochondria, which does DNA transcription. And they found an intermediate, which they called, just to make it simple, ETC mito, energy transfer mitochondria. And this intermediate seemed to be something that was required to connect the two processes, was previously unknown. They didn't identify what it was, but it's usually a protein in these kind of things. And they found if they could up or down the amount of this, then the brain aging was diminished in the mice that were under study. And they had developed a series of occupational tests for the mice. So you could say, this mouse is not aging mentally. Sounds a little odd, but they go to some trouble in academics to make these things reliable. Okay, next, that's the ETC mito blockage point. This is a pile of plastic. This could come from your lunch, your dinner, your shopping, your food. It's all over the place. And we need to be able to do something about it because it just goes in the
Yeah, half the plastic you can't recycle.
it doesn't recycle very well. They said about
That's what I was told.
he said about 10% is submitted for recycling. The rest is just junk.
Yeah.
So at an earlier time, I gave a talk and there was somebody who found a new way to approach it for one of the plastics. And this group now, headed by a scientist named Jason Barra, they found a new way to try to recycle plastic. He was working with PET, which is polyethylene triterephthalate. Don't expect me to know what that is exactly, but it's obviously a common plastic. And he had this other agent in his lab. It's a small hydrocarbon called imidazole. So he said to his students, what the hell, throw some imidazole in, let's see what happens. And when he came back the next day, they presented him with the news. Plastic is gone. No plastic, which kind of titillated him. And then he tried it on another plastic called polyurethane, and it worked there also. So just at the very beginning of this thing, imidazole is readily available. It's not toxic. They got recycling of 2 kinds of plastic with this. So the human intellect is at work trying to attack this problem. This is beautiful, but it isn't really useful.